I am fuming. You want to know what the most annoying thing about developing a video game is? Right when you're about to do your update video for the month. And then the goddamn program decides to say, oh, there's a little problem. I don't know absolutely nothing, and it's all breaking with no error message none whatsoever, and you now have to spend another hour trying to fix that, and hopefully you can do it before you run out of time for the day to make your update video. Enjoy it. Long story short, I'm a little pissed. Exactly 1 hour and 3 minutes ago, I ran into that problem, and I've been... Anyway, hello and welcome to the TheSageOfTarn Alpha version 0.499, June 2023. Let me just adjust a little something here. I can see the whole changelog. We're not going to redo it today, because we're just going to easy peasy it. Okay, I'll move the mouse a little bit. So, to follow up on last time, I've been working on the automation of the menu of the shooting process and done all the prep work for that, aside from one little thing apparently. And so this time I've been working a lot on streamlining the inventory and making it more easy to selectively choose whatever it needs to choose when it, regardless of what thing that we want to equip into the target. So to begin with, I've added a list of names that makes it very easy for the menu to figure out what it has equipped. What we have now is that it automatically finds the names of whichever thing is equipped for most of the equipable items. Hopefully you can't hear the rain too much. Thank you, Universe, for being an additional bullshitter. Anyway, we now have 40 equipable item slots within the menu, which can be deduced by basically we don't have the left ring, the core, or the right ring, but we do have every other slot, as you can see, that is filled with a wall worm currently. And each of these, of course, have their sub-slots as well in here. So basically, now that we have the name tags, we can tag the entire inventory menu here, but we can also tag the entire subsection, sub-inventory in here as well. Hopefully you can still hear me over the rain, which if you hear the thing in the background, I'll stop yelling too much. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So anyways, we have that. Additionally, we have the option to swap every single thing here, aside from the 3 I mentioned in the beginning, to a new object. They can be swapped to whatever. You can see that they fit with the thing that I choose. We choose a pebble here, there's another one there, and then a player here maybe, and then another player here. Now currently, it's only the one-handed R1 in here that works. I have, if we move on to, let me see here, small note, I fixed the player hit self from last time. There was a script missing, so that's the final addition. We move on to the adjustments. Is that the player now has the option to use all of the active buttons. This include, if we're talking on the controller, the R1, the R2, the L1, the L2, triangle and square for all of the active things that we want. This is for square for items. If we go in and look at, I think we have the thing in here, if you remember, sort of. So for the spell use, the item use, and for the throw, roll, parry, return, and grab block thing. Those are not, don't think too much about the names here, but those 6 buttons are basically active. Now, what those buttons do depends on what is equipped in each slot. So if we go in here, and I turn this off again. So if we have the player equipped, obviously we're going to throw a player in this particular slot, but if it's moved over to this slot here, for example, it will do something else. It will do the spell equivalent of that unit in this particular slot. Of course, we can then swap between those two in the actual active menu. It's all a little cringly, but you have to imagine how it works. Everything on this screen is what you can actively choose and switch between when you're playing the game. Everything in here is what you can choose to put into the previous menu. And then, you can toggle between this one and this one down here, this one and this one, this one and this one, and this one and this one. That will be the toggleable menu for all the 4 options. And then, of course, these ones in between, the reason we've left them is because they are the passive skills. In any case, let me see here, where are we? turns. So I've adjusted the player to be able to do all of these. So all these 6 options are now available in-game. I can essentially go in here and click 1 time on the triangle and it will activate the skill. You won't be able to see it, but I have a little setup so that I can see it does something. Basically just tells me that it does it for now, because we have yet to put in the outcomes that are supposed to be for each of the units on each of the slots that they can be in within the menu. I have, however, upgraded the various scripts so that if we choose the Wallworm, for example, for each slot that it is in, no matter which one we pick here, it will have its own unique delay and outcome for that particular slot. So this is how you can control what they do as well as what timing they do. We also have an additional layer, since we want this particular slot to have both an R1 and an R2 for an attack. We have 2 separate delays that fit for either, as well as 2 different outcomes that fit for either. It all depends on what is chosen and where it's at. Hence the crinkly nature of it. Let me see here, what else? So I removed the ability for our little wall walker boy. I got one. To run over edges. The reason why is that this is the run over edge thing, which is perfectly fine. He can't do that anymore, and the reason is fairly straightforward. Let me see if I can find a good corner to show it. We obviously won't be able to see it anymore because I fixed it, but I'll describe what it is. Come on, I can't remember how far down it is. Okay, there it is. So, if you go into a corner like this corner, for example, and you shoot a little boy in there, he would have the chance, when the corner is steep enough, to actually do what the player does, which is, see if I can find one that's actually a little more appropriate. This one here. Nope, it's not steep enough. Didn't pre-plan to show this off, but let me... Oh, hold on, there's one. So in this configuration here, we go from one that is surface-based and then up. So this particular animation, obviously, is the player not being able to walk on this steep of a surface, which is perfectly fine. But one of the issues that it caused with these small guys was that it looked really jank because they are so small and so close to the ground that they could actually push themselves out. See if I can force them to go up. So now instead they do that, and they do this as well when they run, which is what they did not do before. Before, they would only do it when they walked, they would only climb when they walked, but now they also do it at high speeds. So it's a small adjustment / removal of the check for it to do that while it's running, because it didn't really make sense. In any case, I've removed the head turning. As you can see, we don't have any up or down movement of the head. It is just locked as it was supposed to, and you've probably not even been noticing because it looks way better and doesn't look like he's looking up every time he's walking forward. I've also removed the hands, as you'll notice. Depending on what unit we have, there is no longer any corresponding hand thingamajig going on, because basically it's like it wasn't a bad thing. That's what we determined last time. I think I recovered that already. And we had a couple of bugs, which is inaccurate draw between the player and the spawned Wanwa. I can't remember what this is, but we can try it. Spotted. There it is. You see the default textures? So there's something missing on the collision between these two, which we'll fix later. Player spawned by main player displays a small sprite. Let's see if this is still the case too. So it's probably not the case anymore, actually. I might just have incidentally fixed it by the fuming problem I ran into, which is basically that the players might be able to shoot now again. Let's double test this. See if they both shoot. Yep, he does. So before, what the bug was basically that the blue one, which is not me, I'm the green one, would spawn a little dot, a visual representation, even though it wouldn't spawn anything. And now that I've fixed whatever that was, that somehow got transferred to the main player that caused a problem right before I had to upload and do this whole thing, is now gone, because now the players can both shoot again, as the system is now corresponding to the new system correctly. The issue that I found was basically that somewhere along the lines it was inaccurately using two different things. Let's say you had the pebble equipped and it would somehow use part of the player on some of the code but not all of it. Really, really, really annoying thing to fix, especially when the timetable is a little stretched for today to begin with. But anyways, that is about it. I've been grinding the menu primarily, just to sum up. We have every piece here now working. Everything aside from the core, which is not something... These are not going to be like active buttons anyway, so we don't really care about them for now. Everything in here I can equip as I want. All we need now is the functionality for each of these three in all of the different slots. At which point we will be able to really do some fun stuff. And this is the nice part, because this is where the actual game design sort of begins. What should each unit do depending on what spot it's in? Obviously something like the player is not intended to be used later, but for now, since we have these three units, we might as well just deck them fully out and make sure that it doesn't break. That is about it for this update. Thank you very much for, joining in and all sorts of... So sorry for my... for it being a little bit more unprofessional this time. I didn't really have time to reshoot it, which I do often. Because of bloopers and I'm trying to one-take it all. As well as the random ass bug that fucked with me very badly today. So yeah, anyways, take care. And I'll do like this.